Having a porch full of beautiful hanging flower baskets is so rewarding and so much fun, but there's 4 things you need to know if you want to keep them looking healthy and beautiful all season long. So there are 4 things that we're going to go over today: water, fertilizer, sunlight, and bugs and pests. So I definitely want to start with talking about water because this was the thing that confused me the most when I first started growing plants. I was losing plants constantly, and people would just say, water as much as it needs it, or water when the soil felt dry. Well, I felt like the soil always felt kind of moist because I live in humid south. So I felt like this was a struggle. So what I do now is every spring when it's starting to warm up, I'll water every couple days. And if my plants look droopy or dry, then I'll do it more often. So then I'll move it up to every other day. Now that it's August, it's hot. I live in Northwest Arkansas. I have to water every single day or I lose a plant. Let me show you a plant that I lost because I forgot one day. So check out this poor little plant. I didn't water one day. I had a really busy day, and this is the result. So it's no big deal. We'll cut off all the dead. It will grow back. It will be fine. But if you feel like this is happening to you a lot, you may want to set up a drip system, which is where you have a hose and you hook up tubes to it and it will water daily, and you can set up a timer. I'll do a whole video on it next spring. We moved to this was our first spring and summer at this house, and so I just didn't get a chance to do it, and it's definitely on my list. Taking a break to play with the puppies and cute little Braxy. Okay, now let's talk fertilizer. When you have these beautiful blooming annual plants that are growing, they are working so hard. They are producing flowers, they're growing vigorously, and they need tons of fertilizer, which is basically food for them, food and nutrients. So what I did this year was I started with a Miracle-Gro solution that was just like their normal, regular Miracle-Gro. I'll put a picture of it on the screen. And I used this while the plant was growing and the roots were developing and it was getting big and lush. And then about halfway through the season, I switched to this other Miracle-Gro formula, which I'll show you right here. Bloom Booster flower food. And I felt like my flowers exploded on the plants, which was so fun to watch, especially on some of my other flowers. This variety is a pretty good bloomer, but I have another one that doesn't bloom quite as vigorously, and it really made such a difference. So that's what worked for me. If you don't like Miracle-Gro, you want to use something more organic, there are some organic fertilizers you can use that are liquid where you mix it with water, or there's ones that you can just sprinkle inside and they'll slowly release over time. But the Miracle-Gro works awesome. I don't recommend it for edibles, but it's perfect for beautiful flowers. All right, so to mix fertilizer, you just fill this up with 2 gallons of water. Helps if you make it in the bucket. And then you mix Miracle-Gro 1 tablespoon for every gallon. So I'm going to add 2 scoops of this, which is 2 tablespoons. Comes with a handy little spoon.
Candy.
1 and 2. Here's an organic plant food option. You mix this in a watering can with water and it will have the instructions on the back. So you don't have to use Miracle-Gro if you're not into that. Another important thing to remember when you're watering is to always water under the foliage. A lot of times people will just pour or dump water over the top and it kind of like smashes the flowers or damages them, makes them soggy, they can get powdery mildew. So just make sure you're watering under the foliage and like lifting up the plant and watering directly into the soil under the plant. So I'll show you how. This might be self-explanatory for most people, but I didn't know this, so this really helped me with my plants. Once the water starts dripping, you know you've watered the plant enough. So depending on how often you're watering depends on how often you'd want to fertilize. Most people say once a week, every couple times you water, whatever you think. I personally water once a week. I choose to do it on Fridays because it's easy to remember, Fertilizer Friday. That has been working out really well for me. All right, the next thing we want to talk about is sunlight. Sunlight is really important. Where on your house are your hanging baskets or flowers? Are they on the south side, the north side, the east side, or the west side? It makes a difference. So let's go back to elementary school for a second. The sun rises on the east, sets on the west. Your most sunny side is going to be the south side of your house. That is where an annual hanging basket would just thrive and be so happy. And the north side is going to be a little bit more shady and they won't grow quite as vigorously. If you look over here, the sun is already coming in for the morning to these plants. But on this side, it's still shady and it's almost noon. So pretty soon these plants will be getting the hot noonday sun and then all of the afternoon sun, which is good. They need 6+ hours of sun typically, your hanging baskets or annual flowers. So anyway, something to think about when you're trying to decide where to put them. Don't hang a bunch of hanging baskets that need a lot of sun on the north side, which for me is this side, where they'll get hardly any sun. So you can see this hanging flower is the least blooming because of where it is. I try to switch positions for all the flowers so they all kind of get a turn everywhere. So just like we need air, water, food, sunlight to survive, so do our plants. So we want to make sure, as a little recap, that we water, we fertilize, and we give our plants plenty of sunlight, and they should thrive and be beautiful. But the last and final thing that we have to discuss, which is no fun at all, is the pests and the bugs. I have a serious infestation on a couple of my plants. This is one of them. Here is a close-up of some of these little pests. They can be green, they can be white, and they basically suck the life out of your plants. You can see it has gotten so bad they are everywhere. Their little larvae their eggs look black, and ladybugs actually love to eat the black eggs. So some people will release ladybugs and it can help bring the population down. When it gets to this point, however, a complete infestation, it's too far gone. This plant needs to be cut down, sprayed off, and I'll show you what I'm going to do to take care of it. Before I show you what to do when your plant is completely infested and you now need to cut it down and spray it with something serious, I want to show you some organic options that you can use and try first. All right, welcome to my crazy messy gardening cupboard in the garage. I want to show you guys a few different things you can try that are first organic. I always start with organic, and if that doesn't work, usually an infestation comes, and then once the infestation comes, I just cut the plant down, spray it with something serious that's not organic, and start over again with my organic options. Depending on where you live, organic options may work wonderfully, but where I live, it's humid and we have every kind of weird bug you've ever heard of in Arkansas. It's so frustrating, but it helps to at least try to be organic. The reason why you want to use organic products is because some of the chemical products will kill and harm beneficial bugs like bumblebees and butterflies, and those kind of things go around and pollinate from flower to flower, and it kind of helps everything grow. And so you, by spraying a chemical product, are affecting everybody's plants and also killing good bugs that we need to help vegetables and gardens and things grow everywhere. So that's why people are very passionate about being organic and only using clean products. Okay, don't mind the mess, but this is one you can use. It's an insecticidal super soap. I always recommend to use any kind of bug killer at night only, because that means most of the bugs and beneficial bugs are asleep for the night, and you're not going to harm any bees or butterflies, and once it dries, it should be safe for those bugs to fly about on the flowers the next morning. So once the sun goes down, you can go out and spray this. This is an organic. This is another organic, and there's also another one that's just straight neem oil, which I must have used it all because I don't see it in here anywhere. So those would be the two I recommend. Now, once you get an infestation, you may need to go to something more serious. Now, I know there's going to be people that are really upset at me for using this, but when you spend so much time and money and effort trying to take care of your plants and you've tried all the organic options, sometimes you've got to go in with something stronger. I have met with farmers and talked with other people who grow and are in the business, and a lot of times they have to use something or all the plants or vegetables or whatever it is would be decimated. So I always recommend trying organic first. Depending on where you live, that may be successful. For me, I oftentimes have to go in. Like I said, I wait until it gets to an infestation and I spray this as needed, and I only spray at night when everything else is asleep. So what you do is you mix this with water and you put it in a pump sprayer and you spray down the whole plant. I always cut down the plant first, which I will show you in just a second, and then I spray this on once the plant's been cut down, because then you just don't need as much product. You're only working with the flowers that you've now cut off, and you've got to cut off all the dead anyway. So, okay, another tip is anytime you use clippers and you trim any kind of plant down, whether it's for a pest problem or you just want to trim it and prune it, you always need to spray with some alcohol. So I always spray down my clippers just to make sure they're sanitized and I'm not spreading any possible disease or bugs from one plant to another. Okay, now that I've sanitized my clippers, I'm going to cut this plant down. I sprayed it off with a hose on the mist setting first, and you can see they are still everywhere. This infestation is just too bad. It's too far gone, and there's just no saving this plant at this point. It needs to be completely cut down. Oh, it's just so frustrating to see, but it's okay. It's gonna grow back. It's part of having flowers. I try to be proactive and spray these plants weekly with some of those organic options that I showed you to prevent this problem. But I have found about every month or so, I have to cut it down anyway. Just in my area, the aphids are too bad, they're too strong, and they procreate a little too often. So we're gonna cut this down. It's no big deal, it'll grow back. We still have plenty of time in our growing season to have some beautiful blooms on the porch. All right, I moved over here by the garage because I don't want to cut any plants down by other plants because I'm afraid that the aphids will jump off these plants and onto my other flowers. So I'm over by the garage where there's no other flowers, and I'll show you how I cut this down. I mean, check out how many are on just like one leaf. Ugh. You can see how much I cut off here. It's super painful to see that pathetic little plant and all that growth gone. But I promise you it'll grow back. It'll be healthier, thicker, stronger, and better in the long run. You guys, look! There's a little praying mantis. Let me see if I can get a close up. Oh my gosh, look at him. Praying mantises are carnivores, so they eat bugs. So he's probably in heaven having a little buffet of all the aphids all over this plant. They're so cute. All right, so we've basically murdered our flowers. The praying mantis is still having a blast eating all the food, so that's good. We will spray these tonight, and I'll show you how I do that tonight once the sun goes down. And one last thing I wanted to mention about this, when you cut down all of this stuff, you need to dispose of it so that they're not jumping everywhere. So you can either put it in an airtight bag that you throw in the garbage, or you could even burn it. You know, if you're gonna do s'mores that night, just throw it in the pile and burn it so that you're not spreading bugs everywhere. Okay, so here's what I'm left with for the plants. So I'm about to spray the 7 Dust on and douse these plants completely, and hopefully it will take care of this aphid problem. So we just poured in 4 tablespoons of the 7 Dust, and now we'll add the water, 1 gallon of water. And I'm gonna use this little sprayer. It's a great idea to probably wear gloves and a mask. I should have done that. Wash your hands really, really well after using this product. And I always try to make sure my pets are all away while I'm spraying. It also says on the back to make sure you drench the plant to the point of it dripping off, and make sure you get under and over all the leaves. Here's an update. It's been 4 weeks and look how beautiful these plants look now. Their aphids are gone, they're healthy, they're strong, they're thick. You never have to worry about cutting down petunias, especially this variety. They grow back so profusely. They look so beautiful. Let me give you a close-up. Look, there's no aphids. They're so pretty and healthy now. And it's also not a bad idea to cut your plants down periodically throughout the season, just to encourage new growth and just to give them a little trim. So whether you have aphids or not, it's never a bad idea to trim up your plants. And check out this Angelonia. Look at these blooms. Ever since I started using the bloom booster from Miracle-Gro, it started just blooming like this. It looks so beautiful. Underneath, there's no dead. It's just so healthy and beautiful. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you found some tips to help keep your hanging baskets pretty all season long. Don't miss the hummingbird video that I posted last week. You guys, the hummingbirds have been going crazy. They love the homemade nectar, so you're gonna wanna give that a try. And feel free to subscribe if you like these kind of videos. I'll be posting tons more videos on our home improvements and lots of other ideas for how to make your home even better. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.